Hello everyone, my name is Darnie Flarsniff and welcome to Racing Review, where I give you a brutally honest review and rating of event labs in Forza Horizon 5. Today's event I'll be covering is Downtown LA by Aussie Chap. This is a street circuit based in downtown Los Angeles. Starting from South Hope Street and winding through LA's financial section, past 4th, then heading back via South Grand Avenue and South Olive Street. Today I'm driving the 2002 BMW M3 GTR tuned to the top of S1 class, and I'm pretty sure you can guess what livery it has. Starting off, my favorite thing about this event is the world building. Aussie Chap did a wonderful job creating an entire city that truly does feel lived in and operational. On top of that, to make it into a functional racetrack is something the creators should be proud of. One thing I noticed about this track that adds to the realism is the slight imperfections in the road. In some spots there's little elevation changes and bumps that probably just came about through the building process, and they don't really disturb your car too much, which makes the track remain drivable with just a slight challenge that imitates real city driving. On the topic of real city driving, the track layout also feels like a real city, but still having enough variety so it doesn't end up as a bunch of the same 90-degree corners. Although it is mostly 90-degree corners, some of them have different aspects of the elevation change and width. The way the roads are intertwined with each other is also really cool. I especially like the section entering and exiting the first tunnel. The entrance goes next to and over the exit, so you can see slower cars going over the bridge as you leave the tunnel. The elevations are done well, although there is one spot where it could be a little smoother, and that's on the straight after the second tunnel. You catch just a bit of air because of an abrupt drop. My absolute favorite aspect of this track is how the creator used the newer highway pieces. These pieces have been under a bit of fire from the community because of how aggressive the curb in between the two roads is. Anytime you transfer from one side to the other, it completely destabilizes your car, causing major loss of traction and oftentimes a spin out. But that's not the case here. Aussie Chap added roads on top of the highway road and lifted them so that they were much closer to being flush with the center curb and negating the destabilization effect. It's been done on about 90% of the highway curves. The other 10% that's not fixed is in locations where you don't actually need to go over the curb, so it's not an issue. As someone who really appreciates track design and drivability, this is my favorite thing the creator did. With that being said, it's time to get into the nitty-gritty. Firstly, the first corner is too close to the start-finish line, meaning the fastest lap can only be achieved on the last lap. But it's not a huge issue with this track because it's only 2 laps long anyway, and there are a bunch of cars that have enough downforce and or braking power that you don't actually need to brake until just after the checkpoint. There are also a few locations for dead stops. Some spots it's because of a pillar used for decoration on the outside of a corner, and some other spots are just random on walls. I haven't run into any issues on walls in my testing, but I did hear some complaints while playing in a convoy. Also, the start and finish checkpoint is invisible, which is usually caused by the props near and around the checkpoint overlapping or under the props the checkpoint should be on. Now normally, an invisible start-finish line checkpoint wouldn't be a big problem, but the checkpoint is smaller than the road, so if you go too far to the left to set yourself up for the first corner, you might miss the checkpoint. The last thing I'll mention about the track itself is one spot where the track overlaps. The corner before the sharp hairpin allows you to extend across the road overlapping the exit of the hairpin. I'm honestly not sure how I feel about it. On one hand, it's bad for raceability because you can easily have a head-on collision with other drivers, but on the other hand, I like a big crash. I think overall for this track it's a bit of a negative. If you're going to have spots where cars can have a chance to collide, it should be on a dedicated derby track. Now I don't have a lot to say about the decoration because it's just really good. The custom buildings look great, incorporating a bunch of different props to make them unique and a lot less repetitive than just using the skyscraper props. And like I said previously, the world building is done very well with all sidewalks and bus stops adding to the realism of the city, although some of the crosswalks are floating slightly above the road. Something that even further improves the realism is the infrastructure. Everything looks like it's well supported from the bridges and tunnels to the road elevations and buildings. The decorative infrastructure seems to completely abide by the laws of physics, which really immerses you in the city. Now let's get to the rating. The positives for this track are great track design, good elevation change, realistic road, amazing world building, realistic scenery, unique buildings, and smoother curb transitions. The downsides of this event are invisible start-finish line, floating walkways, a couple of dead stop locations, very minor elevation change issues, and the overlapping road. With all that being said, I rate this event a 6.9 out of 10. I think there could have been a bit more variety in both the track and the decoration. Maybe adding some overhead tunnels from one building to another could help tone the city a little bit more, and maybe adding some more variety of corners instead of just using prefab corner sizes. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy the content and want to see more, or don't, that's okay too. The lap time I was able to achieve in S1 class was a 2:30.601. Think you can beat it?